Are we doing time? We're okay. All right. So what is food cost? We've talked about food cost. You guys online can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what is food cost?
The amount you spend on food.
What's that?
What we spend on our
What we spend on our ingredients. Absolutely. The cost that it takes us to make the food or beverages, right? We talk about labor cost. Labor cost is the cost we spend on labor. Okay. Um, when does food become part of our food cost? When it's in production, when we're actually using it. Okay. So I buy a 50-pound bag of flour. Is that part of my food cost? Not until I use it to make my cakes. Then it's part of my food cost, right? And so part of your project we'll get into in a couple of weeks is actually going to be how do we take that 50-pound bag of flour and determine how much those 2 pounds cost us, so that we can figure out how much that cake is actually going to cost us, right? Because we're not going to use all 50 pounds of flour all at once. We're only going to use a portion of it. Okay. So food costs only becomes part of our the money only becomes part of our food cost when we actually use it. Okay. So when we want to calculate our food cost, we're going to take our beginning inventory. When we buy things, does that add or take away from our food cost?
Add.
It adds to it, right? So we're going to add the purchases for the period. Okay. And then at the end of the month or end of the period, we're going to go in and we're going to calculate how much we have in inventory. If it's still in our inventory, is it part of our food cost?
Yes.
If it's still in our inventory, is it part of our food? No, it's not. So we're going to subtract the ending inventory. And that's going to give us our cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. Okay. Our cost of goods sold is also known as COGS, COGS. One of the podcasts I listen to is called the All In Podcast. And it's way smarter than I actually am. But I figure if I listen to it, maybe one day I'll be smart enough. It's all tech related and stuff. But one day they were talking about COGS, and I was like, I know what that is. I feel smart. I can feel part of the conversation. The cost of our goods sold. This number, this COGS, this is what goes up here in that top portion of the triangle. That's how we find that number, right? Prior to this, I've just been giving you random numbers as the cost. Okay. This is where we actually find that number. We take the beginning inventory, we add the purchases for the period, we subtract the ending inventory, and that's what my cost is. Okay. So for those of you who are online, I'm sorry, it's going to be hard to visualize this, but those of you who are in class, if you go here behind the front desk, there's snacks on the counter. Okay. I can add up all the costs of those snacks. And then when you guys go and enjoy those snacks and then leave, I can go calculate the snacks that are remaining, and I can determine how much money was consumed during our class period, right? So I do a beginning inventory. I can actually cost it all out. I do service, and then I go and do the ending inventory, and that tells me how much my food cost was. Questions, comments, concerns about that? Let's do a couple of examples.
I have a quick question.
Yep, go for it.
So the ending inventory that you still have,
Yep.
I guess somehow you can measure if you're losing or gaining. Like for example, FIFO that was mentioned before, I lose, I don't know, a case of tomatoes. So I I keep track of that in particular? I'm assuming so. If so, is it done in this statement?
Yeah, so in a way, yes, because if when we do our triangle, right, when you get this cost of goods sold, that's the cost up here, correct? Follow me so far? Okay. When I take all of the sales, all the revenue, right? I take all the checks that the guests have paid and I add them all up, that's my sales number. Okay. And then that's how I'm able to calculate what my percentage is. Okay. So, Misael, to your question, is if I budgeted 30% food cost, but when I come down and I actually do my cost divided by my sales, and I actually have a 32% food cost, then I'm going to know that product was wasted somewhere. Then I have to figure out what product was wasted and what was the reason why that product was wasted and what can I do to prevent it from being wasted in the future. Okay, so that's kind of how we get there. This number isn't necessarily going to say we're missing a case of tomatoes, but if I know that my food cost is percentage is higher than what I budgeted, based on this number, then yes, I can figure out what was missing or what went wrong during that period. Good question. All right, so our beginning inventory, $3,500. We add the period purchases for the period, and what is our total? 13,500. This tells me that during the period, I have a total of $13,500 available to me at any given point. Okay. And the reason why I want to point that out is because there's one specific question on the final exam, which I know is 10 or 14 weeks away, but okay, where it's going to give you all this information, but really it's only asking you for the total available inventory. But you're going to be like, oh, Ms. Shuminsky says we got to subtract that to get our cost of goods sold. Okay, so I will make sure I stress that as a later time, but that's basically the total available inventory, meaning that during this particular month of February, we basically have $13,500 available at any given point. Okay, now at the end, I actually go in and count, and I have $2,500 left. And what is my cost of goods sold?
1,100.
11,000? Is that right? Yeah, 11,000. Okay. So during that month, it cost me $11,000 to produce all the food that I sold. Good so far? All right. How does this class over? 9:25?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. So now March. What is our beginning inventory? It's blank.
What do we divide?
From the previous.
Yeah. Okay. So Ryan's recommendation is look at our ending inventory from the previous period. So on February 28th or 29th every 4 years, okay, I count $2,500. On March 1st, should my inventory be different?
Yes.
No. If my inventory is different, at the end of the night, I count all my inventory and I open the door the next day. If my inventory is different, I got some problems. Okay, I've got product walking away. So this beginning inventory is the ending inventory from the previous period. Okay, the ending inventory from the previous period. We're going to add our purchases. So that gives me what, 17,000? And now if I subtract my ending, what do I get?
13,500.
Good, 13,500. That's my cost of goods sold. Why do you think, compared to February in March,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think March has a higher cost of goods sold?
A few more days.
There's a few more days. Okay, absolutely.
The holidays.
What do you mean by holidays?
Um, so like HEB Bakery will have a lot more sales during Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Okay.
Valentine's,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So what holiday is in March? Spring break. Are y'all not counting down the days already? Oh my gosh, we have 5 more weeks if you didn't know. Okay. No, let's just kidding. This is fall, isn't it? Dang it.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is 10 weeks away. Yeah, that's one of the hardest things about the fall and spring semesters is that fall we have Labor Day and our next holiday is Thanksgiving. It's kind of weird when they're talking to somebody in the industry complaining about a break like that. And they're like, David, come on now. Let's be real. All right, so March, we have spring break. So then we might have a little bit higher than that, okay? But look at our ending inventory. So if we look at February,
Mhm.
our ending inventory was 2,500. We're pretty close to that 0 mark, right? We're never ever going to reach 0 because we still need to have product in to have operations. But in March, we have $1,000 more at the end of the month. Okay.
Mm.
Is that an issue? Potentially, yeah. What could be a reason why we have $1,000 more than we did at February?
Try and add stuff to the menu.
Okay, maybe we try to add new things to the menu. Good. What's that?
Need more ingredients.
Okay, yes, we might have needed more ingredients. Maybe it rained during spring break. And then spring break wasn't as busy as we thought it was going to be. So we ordered all this product in preparation for it, and then we didn't need it. Okay. So there's all these different reasons as you have to kind of investigate why the situation is the way it is. Okay.
How bad of an idea would be to, if you think you're gonna be slow, to lower that ending inventory amount?
Absolutely. If you think it's going to be slow, then you're not going to order as much product. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't remember the exact chapter, but there is a chapter we're going to talk about how we can forecast how much product we should order or how much like we think we're going to use. Yeah. So that's a good thing. If our purchasing person just purchases everything like normal, then maybe we have to have a conversation with them and say, hey, we don't need this much because we're going to be slower, right? So the same thing happens. I know we're talking about restaurants. Same thing happens in the housekeeping department in hotels. They'll look at the occupancy and how busy, how full the hotel is. We'll tell our housekeepers and our housekeeping managers how much amenities to buy, how much little bars of soap, how much little bottles of shampoo to buy because we don't want to have a whole lot on hand. If we have a lot of product on hand, what's a potential issue? If it's food, it could spoil. It could go bad. If it's little bars of little bars of soap and little bottles of shampoo, it could walk away, right? So we have too much stuff on hand. People think, oh, there's so much here. You know what? I have got some guests coming in this weekend. I'm just going to take a couple extra bars of soap. So I have nice smelling soap for my guests when they come in because they have so much. I'm just going to take a couple bars. Well, if we have 100 housekeepers and they all take a couple bars of soap, that's a couple hundred bars of soap that's going away. So if we have too much product on hand, sometimes people go ahead and take it. All right. When we talk about transfers, this example right here is basically how we figure out the overall cost of food sold, okay? Cost of goods sold. If we wanted to be extremely accurate, okay, it's completely up to you as a business owner. If you really want to know what your beverage cost is and your food cost is, you have to do transfers. What do I mean by transfers? Remencia, you have a really quizzical look on your face. So let me ask this question. Is all of our food ingredients, are they always part of our food cost?
No.
No. When is a food ingredient part of a beverage cost?
Lemons and stuff like that.
Yeah, we use it for a beverage. So garnish, if we're using cherries for our Shirley Temples, if we're using lemons for limes for our Bloody Marys, you use bacon in your Bloody Mary. Okay, so anytime you have like, if you have like a pineapple wedge on a pina colada, that cost of that pineapple, we would transfer over to the bar, and that would be considered a beverage cost. Okay. Do liquids ever make their way into our food recipes?
Yes.
Yes. Oils.
Fine. Okay. So think about things that we're drinking. I'm not sure we're quite drinking oil. But but it is a liquid. So valid point. Juices, wine. How is wine used in cooking? For deglazing the pans, in a sauce. Okay, you might put it like a red wine, like in a beef stew or something. Okay. What about juice? How is juice used in cooking? Marinades, absolutely. Okay. If you're using milk, normally we drink milk, but if you're making like a cream gravy, that milk or a bechamel sauce, that milk is now part of a food cost. Okay. So we'd have to subtract that from our beverages and add it to our food cost. Okay. That's what the transfers look like. The other thing is from other units. Okay. So Anna mentioned earlier she works at Cibolo Moon, which is one of the outlets at the JW Marriott. Okay. And let's say the Cibolo Moon has chicken wings on their menu. Not sure if you do or not, but let's just say for the sake you do. Okay. And the sports bar was super slammed, and now they're short chicken wings. Okay. They have to go get chicken wings from Cibolo Moon. So let me do a little visual real quick. So we've got Cibolo Moon that has our chicken wings. And then we got the sports bar, which is High Velocity. Yes. Awesome. I know my outlets at the JW. High Velocity is the sports bar at the JW Marriott. Okay. So the cost of those wings has to be transferred from Cibolo Moon over to High Velocity. So we subtract them from the cost of Cibolo Moon and we add them to the food cost over at High Velocity.
Okay.
Right? So that's how transfers work. Sometimes we have to take things from one place and move it over here. What would happen if I didn't actually do this in the accounting, in the books?
You have a wrong unit on hand.
Right? So I'm going to take this product over here. And so High Velocity is going to look awesome because they have all these sales, but their food cost stayed pretty low. Versus Cibolo Moon, their sales are going to be low, but their food cost is going to be higher because we have they have the chicken wings assigned to them. So we have to move them over to get a more accurate feel. Other thing happens with like employee meals, things like that. If we pay for our employee meals, we should subtract them from our cost of goods sold. Did we sell those employee meals?
Okay.
No. So if we didn't sell the meals, we have to subtract that cost from here.
Mhm.
That will give us a more accurate food cost percentage based on the food that we sold. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. So what are some advantages of using a standardized recipe? Okay, so we keep a consistent cost. Consistent. I'm going to put an A there because I'm not quite sure which one that is, but it's one of those two vowels. Okay. Keeps our costs consistent. We know how much that portion's going to cost because we standardized that recipe. What else?
You know how
You
much
see
we're
the
gonna,
train.
Say that again?
you know how much we're gonna sell it.
Yeah, so we can use that cost to figure out how much we're going to sell it for. Good. What else?
So you see the train, less likely for error.
Absolutely. So it's great for training.
If it's like the chain, then it would keep it the same.
All right. So consistency for our customer expectations. Our customer expectations. When I go to Chili's and I eat that cheeseburger in San Antonio and I'm visiting Denver and I go to Chili's, I eat that cheeseburger, it's going to taste the same. Okay. So that consistency of our customers' expectations. What else? If we have a recipe, it should tell us how the yield. Exactly. So the yield, how much we're actually going to get from that recipe. So the number of servings. For those of you who don't know, the hashtag is the number sign. So it's the number of servings. It also is the pound sign. You'll see that at a later time. Okay. So it tells us if I should get 30 servings, then I should know that I should be able to get 30 servings out of this. If I'm not getting 30 servings, that means my cooks are probably serving too much. Okay. So standardized recipes. Oops, let me clear this. We also, when we have our standardized recipes, it tells us what kind of ingredients we actually should be purchasing. Okay. So it tells us what type of ingredients we should be purchasing, and those are called specifications. They're divided into two categories, quality and quantity. Okay. Xavier, give me an ingredient that we use in the kitchen. Just a general ingredient.
Salt.
Salt. Good. Okay. Who can tell me a quality of salt?
Sea salt.
Sea salt. Good. Kosher.
Like pink Himalayan.
Redmond's real salt.
I'm sorry, what was that online?
Pink Himalayan.
Pink Himalayan. You're just tested my spelling today.
Redmond's real salt is my favorite.
Red salt. Okay. What else? So these are different types of salt.
There's
Now,
like
say it again.
there's like garlic salts and other flavored
Okay,
salts. too.
good. So different flavored profiles. Good. What about how the salt is
Is
like,
it the like big crystals?
whether it's coarse, so coarse salt
Smoked.
or fine.
Mhm.
So if it's like super, like the size of the crystals, if I'm going to be grinding it, is it rock salt or is it the fine that I can put in a shaker, right? All of those are different qualities. And the recipe is going to tell us what kind of quality we need to have. Okay. The quantity is basically how much do we buy? Do we buy it by the pound? Do we buy 5 pounds? How do we buy the salt? Okay. Do we buy 4 5-pound containers? So there's 20 pounds total, but they're broken into 5 pounds containers. Okay, the quantity will tell us. Can I easily substitute kosher salt for iodized salt?
No,
Why?
kosher salt is way more oh my gosh, I can't think of the word, but it's like way more salty than iodized salt.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like kosher salt, in my opinion, this is, and maybe this is Mr. Minsky's uneducated, non-culinary brain. I feel like that kosher salt is more forgiving than iodized salt. Like you could be a little bit more generous with kosher salt than with iodized salt or table salt. Sometimes I feel like that's a little bit more not offensive, but like pungent. There you go. That's a better word. Okay. So yeah. Let's talk about another ingredient real quick. What's another ingredient we use in baking? Where are my bakers at? Sugar. Okay. So what kind of sugars do we have? Brown sugar. But not only do we have brown sugar, we have dark brown and light brown. What else?
Palm sugar,
Palm sugar, granulated sugar, powdered sugar, caster sugar,
turbinado.
turbinado. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna go with that on that. Okay, cool. What is that? What kind of sugar is that?
Um,
It's a cane sugar.
It's a cane sugar.
Sugar in
Right.
the wrong.
Oh, sugar in the rock, like a brown, like the big crystals.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it's good for like teas.
Okay, awesome. That reminds me, I put water on to make a cup of tea and I forgot. So thank you for reminding me, Anna. All right, so these different things can we substitute powdered sugar for granulated sugar?
No.
No. Okay. Can I, if I'm making whipped cream, I'm going to use what kind of sugar?
Confectionery.
Powdered sugar, right?
Yeah.
Can I use granulated sugar for my whipped cream? No. Our recipe will tell us what the specification is, and then also can we make substitutions? Okay. If I'm making fajitas and I've got onions and bell peppers on the plate, usually I put what kind of bell peppers?
Green and red.
Green. But if I have red, can I use them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if red is cheaper, there's a special on red bell peppers that week because Cisco has to move their bell peppers because they ordered too much before they go bad. If I can do that, then I might substitute it, right? Am I going to change the price of my fajita plate if my ingredients go down? Not usually, which means I'll make just a little bit more profit on that particular time, okay? So our recipe will tell us whether or not we can make substitutions. All right, portion sizes. This tells us, our recipe tells us how many portions we're supposed to get, okay? What kind of items do we usually measure by weight when it comes to the portion size?
Flour.
Flour.
What's that?
Flour.
Okay, so flour, yes. Now yes. When we're making the product, yes. But now think about the finished product, right?
Oh,
Think about the
meats.
finished product. What is something that we serve by weight?
Meat.
Good. Proteins. A 1/4 pound burger. It's a 16-ounce steak. Okay. Measured by weight. What else is measured by weight? Okay, so some sides might be measured by weight. Okay. Anything else measured by weight?
Appetizers sometimes.
Sometimes appetizers. Good.
Toppings. Like
Coffee?
sometimes they'll put like a certain weight of jalapenos on top or something.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yes. So that falls in the appetizer category, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. All right, what about volume? What is usually measured in volume?
Drinks.
Drinks.
Soups.
Soups. Good. Anything else?
Sauce.
Sauces. Sauces or dressings. That reminds me, when I was an event planner one time, I got a call from somebody from the Association of Sauces and Dressings. They were having their conference in San Antonio. I was like, wow, there's an association for everything. Okay, sauces and dressing. You get 2 ounces of ranch dressing on the side of your salad, right? Okay, what about count? What are some things that are done by count?
Eggs.
Dozen cookies.
Okay, so eggs. I'm gonna say desserts. So that's gonna be things like brownies, cookies that I heard. Okay.
Steak fingers, chicken wings.
Okay, so wings might be wings or tenders. Good.
Fried.
Fried foods. Okay. I'll put appetizers down here as well. Okay. So this tells us basically, if we think about it, remember when at the beginning of the semester, the first week, we did the 36 ounces of salad mix, and we have 4-ounce servings. That's going to be 9 servings out of that bag. Okay, that's by weight, 4 ounces of servings. Okay, so let's build a salad real quick. So our lettuce is by the weight, 4 ounces of salad. What's the volume in our salad recipe?
A dressing.
The salad dressing. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the side. Okay, so that's our dressing. Let's say it's 2 ounces. That's by volume. And what could be on our salad by count? Tomatoes. So maybe we've got 3 tomato wedges. That'd be by count. So this one salad, this one recipe does all 3 portion sizes. And that's how we control that. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the project coming up. But one thing that I want you to remember is that when we're looking at volume and weight, they don't always equal each other. Okay. We buy flour by a 50-pound bag. Now, if you're not a professional baker, how do you usually measure flour?
Or the measuring cup.
By the cup, right? And so, because not every home baker is going to have a scale at home to say you need 2 pounds of flour, right? Most recipes are by the cup. The cup is a volume measurement. There's 8 ounces in a cup of volume. Does that 8 ounces of flour, does it equal 8 ounces of weight? No, it does not. Okay, so I'm going to show you a tool, a calculator that I found online that will help you actually convert that 1 cup of flour to how much it actually weighs. Okay, and then one thing that students usually get wrong is when they're trying to figure out how much something costs, they forget to put, or they don't remember which number to put on top of the equation of the division line. And so this word per is the division line. So cost per unit. Okay. So we'll talk about this a little bit more when it comes to the project. Let's skip this for right now. Yes, you're right on time. All right. So the last part, because you have a quiz coming up, as purchased, AP, edible yield, and yield percentage. That's your quiz that's coming up. So I want to make sure we cover this information. Okay.
Mhm.
Draw a triangle. Our previous triangle was for food cost percentage.
Mhm.
We're going to use the same triangle now. So where does percent go? Top or bottom?
Bottom.
The bottom, okay. And what is the universal formula for percentage? Part over the whole, right? So if we're talking about as purchased, and we're talking about what's left over, that's the edible yield. Which one is the part and which one's the whole? Edible yield is the
Part.
part. Good. And the as purchased is the whole. That's the bottom.
Mhm.
Okay. Same mathematic applies. Division and multiplication. Okay. Edible yield is what's left over after I've trimmed, cut, diced, all that kind of stuff, right? So remember, I think the last time I used the example of the tomato concasse.
Mhm.
You cut the X in the bottom, drop it in the simmering water, the skin comes off, the seeds come out, the core comes off. All of that weighs something. We've bought that tomato by the pound or by weight. And so when we buy it by weight and that's extra stuff that we're not going to use, it ends up in the trash. Okay. That's our edible yield, is what's left over. Okay. And so what we're going to do is be able to figure out what is our yield percentage and how much is actually left over. So we can actually use that number to figure that out. Okay. Let me make one quick substitution real quick. Sorry. Instead of edible yield, I want to keep my terminology the same. Edible portion, and then yield percentage. So this edible yield right here is actually yield percentage. I apologize for any confusion that might cause. So if I have the situation where I start with 10 pounds of bell peppers, and after I've trimmed, cut out the veins on the inside, taken the seeds out, I'll end up with 8.5 pounds. What is my formula? 8.5 pounds. That's my edible portion.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to multiply or divide.
Right.
Divide by
10.
10 pounds. And that's going to give me the answer of 0.85. As a percentage, it is
85.
85%. Okay? 85%. Let me have any questions how I figured that number out. And why is that number useful? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Let's figure out why that number is useful. So this time I have 25 pounds of bell peppers. Because it was cheaper for me to buy more in bulk. Okay. So I only have one number of the two. How do I figure out how much is supposed to be left over after 25 pounds? I start with 25. What is my yield percentage? 85%. So I just carry that number down. Okay.
Mhm.
So 85%. Now, my formula says, as purchased, 25 pounds
Mhm.
times 0.85. And what do we get, Brad? You can use calculator if you want to. 25 pounds times 85%.
1.25.
21.25. Okay, 21.25 pounds. That's how much I should have left over when I'm done. All right, if you're on Zoom, do you mind muting? We're getting a little bit of feedback. All right, last one. Now I need 35 pounds. So I'm making fajitas for X number of people, and I need to have 35 pounds when I'm done to actually serve 35 pounds. So now how much do I start with? How much do I actually have to order? Should my number be higher or lower than 35?
Higher.
It should be higher. Okay. My edible portion is still 85%. Edible yield. That yield percentage is still 85%. So now my edible portion is 35 pounds That's how much I have to serve. I'm going to multiply or divide. Divide by 0.85. And Ryan, what's my answer?
41.17.
41.17. So I may order 42 pounds, I may order 45 pounds, right? However, the increments that the case will come in. But I need to order at least 41 pounds. Otherwise, I won't have enough product. After the time I core it, all that kind of stuff, right? Questions, comments, concerns? If I'm doing nice julienne strips for my fajitas, right? How could I increase my edible yield of my bell peppers?
Placing them thicker.
Sounds like a trick question.
I know.
Not quite a not hold on. Let me erase. Let me give you what I'm thinking in my head. Okay. So if I'm gonna do a nice julienne of my bell pepper, right? This is my bell pepper. Okay. Looks like an apple, but it's a red bell pepper. Okay. What am I gonna do? How do I get a nice julienne? I'm gonna do what? Cut that off. Cut that off. That way everything's nice julienne, the same length. Okay. So now I've got this and this. Do I just toss those to the side? What could I do?
Use another dish.
Maybe I make like roasted red peppers hummus. Or maybe I could make a red pepper soup. A garnish on the salad. Maybe I dice it really finely. And then it doesn't matter. If I'm dicing it really finely, then nobody's going to know that it came from the top or the bottom of the bell pepper. Okay. I do this too, like when I'm at home and I'm making a ceviche. Of course, I'm going to do a nice fine dice of this section, but I'm eating ceviche at home. Does it matter if I dice this section and this section? No. I'm not doing it for like restaurant quality food. But so that's how you can maximize that that edible yield, right? Rather than just throwing it away. One time, one of my coworkers was doing an in-service for elementary school cafeteria cooks, teaching them different things. And he gave everybody a stalk of broccoli. And the one cook, she chopped the stalk off and she threw it away. Right? And her excuse was the kids don't eat that part. Okay. And he asked them, do your kids eat broccoli cheese soup? And she's like, yeah, we can do that. So then he took a moment to show them how to make a velouté sauce and how to make broccoli cheese soup and maximize that broccoli stock. So you can absolutely maximize that. Okay. We don't have time. Let me look at our calendar real quick just to make sure. I covered the as purchased, so that's good. The AP yield. Let me just make sure I'm on track for what I want to cover this week. This is week 3, chapter 3. AP. Okay. So we do have time on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we are going to do brisket math. Okay. How many of you have taken basic food prep? Okay, basic food prep, that's Chef 1301. Okay, how many of you are in basic food prep right now? Awesome. Okay, and this is gonna be a little bit of a head start because you're going to do brisket math in that. You're actually doing brisket in that class. For those of you who have taken basic skills, this will be a review for that. Okay, we are going to basically walk through this particular scenario to figure out, we're gonna apply that AP yield percentage and edible portion, okay? So on Wednesday in class, I would like for you, so that way I don't have to do as much review between now and Wednesday. If you go into the assignments, where's my brisket math? Oh, I don't have brisket math assigned to you guys.
It's right there. Oh, it's.
All right, we're gonna do it in class, okay? We're gonna do it in class, so I will post this video separate. You know what? I take that back. It is in your chapter 3 quiz. So where is my chapter 3 quiz? Here we go. This brisket math, if you will do me a favor, I will post this as a separate video so that way you can find it. But this brisket math, if you will watch this video, just familiarize yourself with it. We're gonna go over it in class and then we're gonna do an example in class, okay? But if you'll just watch this, I know it's a 30-minute video, but it works through the whole problem, okay? Just put it on in the background, listen to it while you're driving, listen to it while you're doing dishes or making dinner or doing whatever. Just have it on in the background so at least you've heard it before you come to class on Wednesday, okay? And then I will print out all the papers that you need for Wednesday, all right? Then we'll wrap up chapter 3. Yes, Ryan?
And the extra videos.
Oh, that's a good question. So in the modules, right here in the fall 25 recorded lectures, it should be the third one down. No, second one down for you guys. Okay, so I'll put that and I'll put the date and the topic that we talked about. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you all online.
Thank you.
So I have something to tell you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be in class for the beginning. Sorry, let me pull up the date. It's because my plane, they rescheduled and it's gonna be the 6th. I won't be here. So
Okay. I mean, if you're not here, I'm gonna count you absent. But you can always catch the video, the recording after class is done.
okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to let you know just in case.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
you.
Sir, I had a question too about like the swim links